Hey, good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Tonight's show is Common Denominator. Welcome everyone who's watching. I want to say that Dee and Kiki can't join us tonight because they're both under the weather. So let's say some prayers for my babies and hopefully they'll feel better soon. Okay, so let's get this started. 1 second. Okay, I'm trying to set up my chat. Um, okay, sorry about that. Well, we'll just make this brief since it's just me. Maybe we'll get to some letters. I did bring them out. So I was having a conversation with someone the other day, as well as I got a letter saying that, the same thing happened to them over and over again when it comes to relationships, be it a romantic relationship or friendship or what have you. The same thing happens. And I asked the person that I was speaking with, like, do you actually do the same things? What do you do differently? It's easy, to be in a relationship and the same things tend to happen over and over and over again. And you are quick to say that it's someone else. I know I had to learn, my part in a relationship. And when the same things would happen over and over again, it was due to something that I was doing. You can't do the same thing. You can't do the same thing and expect something different to happen. It's always going to be same old picture, different frame, unless you self assess, figure out, you know, exactly what it is that you're doing wrong and how can you fix yourself. The young man that I was speaking to, who was saying that he had everything, every time he gets with a girl, it's the same thing, so on and so forth. And I'm saying, excuse me, I asked him, what did you do differently? What do you do differently in every relationship? There's things that you tend to do that you think you're supposed to do that are good, but everything don't work for everyone, if you know what I mean. So he was proceeding to tell me that, he has a type, which we all know that at times types can get you. You sit there and you want this specific type, and while you're looking for this type, you're either going to miss Mr. Right or Mr. Wrong. Excuse me, Mrs. Right or Mrs. Wrong. You're going to miss what is supposed to be for you. So sometimes you just have to let go of your types. I had to let go of my type, you know. And it's funny because I have a type, well, I had a type, and both of my longest relationships, beside the one that I'm in now, those guys weren't my type. I always go for, as sister would say, the milk duds, the big chocolate ball head guys. That's what I liked. That was my thing. I still got me a chocolate daddy. He's handsome. He's just not big and bald head. But that type came with a price. Every time that I thought that I was with that person because, oh, I got Mr. Right, this is my type, he looked good, he chocolatey, he big, he's cuddly, whatever, he came with baggage. So I was holding on to the type instead of holding on to, or instead of working with, someone that God had sent me. or something like that. Um, but back to the guy. He was telling me that, A, he has a type. B, he tend to date he tends to date women with kids. And I don't know the reason behind that. I know when I was single, I would only date guys with kids, and that's because I didn't want to have any more. You know what I'm saying? So that could be an issue too, because a lot of times, the women that he date are looking for daddies. They're not looking for soulmates. And you have to, being in a relationship, money shouldn't matter. Um, your status shouldn't matter, but it's a factor. You know, if you have, it's a difference between coming into a relationship with someone who actually, okay, they're not where they could be in life, but they're working for it, or someone who's been stuck in the same position. He tended to go for the women who are stuck in the same position. He has what I like to call that Captain Save a Hoe syndrome. Um, you can't always save that person. They have to want it. You can't make a person want. And then another thing, he goes in hard. You can't go in hard. So these are just some of the things that we discovered that he was doing that caused a little bit of you know consistency in his relationship failures. However, at the end of the day, you have to self-assess. That's the first thing. And I'm the queen of self-assess. There's two things that I'm always going to tell people to do, and that's A, self-assess, and B, get counseling. Those two, and you know pray. Pray. Those are the things that you need to do to be consistent in life. However, with that being said, when you don't make the necessary changes, the same stuff happens. The same stuff happens. So make sure that when you start a new relationship, you just go into the relationship with nothing from the past. Okay, so this person reminds you of someone else that you used to date. It's not going to be that person. Okay. Or you need that man who looks delicious, have a great career, uh, who's big on chivalry. Okay, the big on chivalry part I get, you know, but you attract basically what you are. You attract a person according to your present mindset, and people don't understand that. There's a lot of men and women alike who want that dime piece, or they want that dude that's he's that superstar, but you're not going to track a dime piece being a nickel. And I'm not talking about the way you look. I'm not talking about the way you dress. I'm not talking about your body shape or anything. I'm talking about your mindset. Your mindset. You have to be prepared mentally, and you have to be prepared physically, and sometimes financially, for the things that you want in life. And that includes relationships. And a lot of times people are in short-term relationships because they're forcing it. You can't force a relationship. You can't say, hey, you got to be this type, you got to look this way, you got to do this thing in order for you to get what you want. It don't work like that. And if if you're truly honestly looking for someone, the first thing you need to do is stop looking. If you truly honestly want to be in love, you got to stop looking. You got to let God do his job. You have to be in a place in your life where you're ready. Listen, I moved to Georgia in 2009, March of 2009. And between March 2009 and October, I dated a couple people. Uh, it didn't feel right. I didn't have a car at this time, no job. Um, I was just trying to rebuild my business here in Georgia. None of that was right. But you know what was right next door? It was this guy who I wouldn't date because he was older and he was chocolatey and handsome, but he wasn't cuddly, you know? So he was right there. Like, there, I would get up and walk 3.5 miles every day to the library. And on his days off, he would say, "Hey, you need a ride to the library?" And I'm thinking, okay, he's nice. And then it got to the point to where if I was having a bad day, he'd show up with flowers. And I'm like, he's gorgeous, but he's old and he's not cuddly. And I'm not saying old, he's older. I had my type. If you weren't at least 10 years younger than me, I would not date you, you know. And that was my thing. When I had got out of my last long-term relationship, I was like, you know what? No more light-skinned dudes, because that's not what I like. And I'm not dating anybody my age. You have to be 10 years or younger. None of that worked. None of that worked. No matter how hard I tried to make it, it didn't work. But there was this man next door who was awesome. And guess what? We've been together for 13 years. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. But at the end of the day, he walked into my life at a time when I didn't have nothing, but he's seen my potential. And you guys probably heard me say that before. It's all about what God sends you and not what you force. If you're going to be superficial when you're looking for someone, you're going to have a superficial outcome. If you're going to have this particular person, you're going to be lonely as fuck looking for him. Excuse my language, but you have to go in the direction that God is sending you in. You have to have yourself mentally prepared. And like I said, sometimes physically and sometimes financially. You know, um, I know there's a lot of guys that I know who say that, man, I'm not dating this woman who has these kids, or she ain't got no job, blah, 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 blah. So while you're looking at that, are you looking at her potential? Are you looking at her heart? And the same with women. I have a friend who, she has her type. She has her type and she's not deviating from that type, but she's still single. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about what you're trying to do or what you're trying to look for. It is all who is sent, who is meant for you. Not what you want to look for, because if you're the common denominator, none of that is working for you. None of that is working for you. So I'm going to leave that at this, and then we'll get to a couple of letters. So you want to make sure, the top thing is you want to make sure you self-assess. All right. If you self-assess, then you know what you're doing. If you know that, you have 15 boyfriends and they say, "Oh my God, you nag too much," you might want to check that in. Or if you're the person who meets someone and 3 days later you're like, "Oh, I love you." Okay, you're scaring people away, be it male or female, you're scaring them away. That's actually, I'm taking this class to get my certification in sexual health. And one of the prerequisites of abusive relationships, be it physical abuse or mental abuse, is that I love you too quick. Or if you're possessive, or if you need a text or a phone call 15 times a day, let's not do that. You know what I'm saying? If you're with several people and they're telling you you're not, you might want to check your drive. So if your relationships are all ending the same way, then you need to self assess. You need to assess the type of people you're dating. You need to assess your behavior in a relationship. You need to assess your level of need, because nobody wants a needy, clingy person. You need to assess if you are being too demanding. You know, you have to look at yourself. Nothing, and that's not just in romantic relationships, that's in friendships, that's in work relationships, that's in, it's a socializing period. Self-assess, because if you're getting the same feedback from everyone, that means there's a problem within. Okay, so that's enough of that. And again, this will be short because my co-hosts are both sick. I think it's a weather fluctuation. I just hope my baby brother and my baby sister are feeling better soon. Love you. Smooches gracias. Okay, so I am going to get to, yeah, I'm going to save this letter for a different day. Let's do this one. Okay. It says, "Hi, Miss Sheila. I hope, I hope I wrote this down instead of printing it out because I didn't want to. So my writing sucks. Oh, hi, Miss Sheila. I hope that all is well in your life. We appreciate we appreciate your time and some of the things that you have to offer. Some of the stuff you say is a little off, but we get it. Girl, you didn't know I was a little off. That's what makes me Sheila. Okay. So I am seriously crushing on someone. Ooh, get it, girl. However, I'm 45 and people tell me I'm too old to crush and that I need to make a move. Well, do you need to make a move? Well, I was raised that women allow a man to chase. However, he's not budging. He does flirt with me occasionally. We've been to lunch twice and coffee, but I don't see anything romantically coming from my side. I mean, from his side, I'm sorry. Please believe that I need this dude in my life. See, that's the problem right there. You don't need that dude in your life. You want that dude in your life. There's a difference, baby girl. All right. So should I move forward like everyone's telling me, or should I keep it how I was raised to let the man chase you? All right. So you said you guys been to lunch a couple of times and did coffee, right? But he has not made any moves. The only thing you can do at this point is just to say, hey, you know what? I'm interested in you. You know, don't push it, don't force it, because if it's meant to be, it'll be. Like I just said, you can't push anything. But you should let him know. You should let him know how you feel. Point blank, period. Let him know how you feel. And after that, call it the day. Um, are you too old to be crushing? Absolutely not. You are, as long as you're human, you're gonna have emotion. And crushes are a part of emotion. So, I mean, let him know how you feel. It's 2022. I mean, don't go no full blown chase, but just say, hey, you know what? I just thought I should let you know, that I find you attractive, or whatever your feelings are toward him. I mean, you don't drop down and like, oh, I'm in love or whatever, whatever, and don't set yourself up for failure. And when I say don't set yourself up for failure, if he acts as he's if he acts like he's interested in you and you've told him where you how you feel, this is to you let him take control at this point. Okay? And then you won't too much be going outside of what your parents or what your family taught you. I think that's pretty cool. And never, you're never too old to crush. Okay, you're never too old to crush. All right, so I'm gonna read this one from Shana na na na, and that's exactly what she says. Shana na 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 na. She this is cute. She said, "Hey Sheila, I have a problem. I recently started dating a guy who has a crazy baby mama, and I should not be going through that. Girl, I hear you. Um, he does check her and he does keep her in place. I have not had to say anything to her because he does it. And that's what he's supposed to do, sis. That's what he's supposed to do. It's not, ladies, it's not her job to check your boyfriend's or your husband's baby mama. It's his job to keep her in place. By all means. Now, if she crossed that line, like Jet Li, you kick her ass back across that line. Okay? All right. So back to the letter. She's very disrespectful. She comes to my job and causes a scene. I don't say anything to her. I usually just have security escort her out. She's now banned from coming to my job. Um, she makes social media posts. She posts old pictures of her and my guy together with the kids. And the pictures and the pictures that she posts are old, where the kids were 2 and 6 and they're 16. Listen, she has an issue. Okay. Do me a favor, email me back and let me know if this chick has a boyfriend or has she been dating anyone else, you know, because it sounds like she's stuck, you know, she's stuck in the past. It's obviously that your guy has moved on because he's with you now, and it's obvious that he can only make her, he actually can't make her do anything, but he can only attempt to have her be respectful to a certain extent. At this point, you said the kids are 16 and 20, right? They're 16. Okay. So with the kids being that age, go get yourself a restraining order from this lady. You know, don't try not to get into any altercations with her because that will set off a whole nother, set of problems that you really don't need. And I know it'll probably be hard because it seems like she's coming for you, but avoid her. If you see that she's coming, go the other way. I know you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't have to do this, just like I was saying, my friend who got jumped a couple of months back by her ex-boyfriend's new wife. Everybody was telling her that she should have left the place that she was already. And you know what? She probably should have. But at the end of the day, protect yourself from this crazy lady because she sounds cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And hold on. I didn't read all of your letter. I just got carried away. Now you're saying that the kids are starting to, you know, feel some kind of way about their mom because of the way she acted. Now I know this is hard. This is a hard thing. But if you're going to be a part of their lives, even though they're almost grown, they need to know that you're the bigger person at all times. If they come to you with complaints of your mom, just I hate to say make excuses for, but make an excuse for it. Like, don't you never want to be the person who badmouths, your stepkid's mom. You don't want that to happen ever. You never want to be the person who keeps a man away from their children. You always want to be the encourager. You always want to be the person who encourage a man to do everything for and everything with their kids, because that's what real women do. There's a lot of women who will get into these relationships with men with little kids and adult kids, and the only kids that matter are their kids, and then the relationships are strained, between that man and his children. um every time I've been in a situation where I've dated a man with kids, I've always made sure that that man and kids maintain the relationship, you know, without being intrusive. And it's a tough line, but you have to learn how to do it. So don't play into their conversations when they're talking bad about their mom. Always take the high road. Take the high road. You never want to do that. And you never want to be the reason why a man don't see children, or you never want to be the reason, that there's rift between um, a man and his kids. Because I'll tell you what, your relationship your relationship with this man may or may not be permanent. But there's two things: his baby mama is out of line, no doubt, no doubt. If everything that you put in this letter, this email, is true, she's out of line. Point, period. Now, the old me would have said take her to the streets, but the new improved 55-year-old me, I'm saying, you know what? Go ahead, get a restraining order against her. But you know what? You want to do that in silence too. You want to do that in silence. You want to protect the relationships between the actual parents and the kids, but you also want to make sure that what am I trying to say? You also want to make sure that you protect yourself as well. Go ahead and get yourself a restraining order against this lady. Um, when the kids come to you with complaints or whatever, don't comment. Just say, hey, you know what? Your mom's just going through something right now. It'll get better. You know what I'm saying? And then tell your dude, look, you know what? I appreciate you, doing your best to keep this chick in line, not doing it. And this is what I have to do to protect myself. And you never know, you might be protecting him as well and the kids. You know, if she's crazy, then she might need to be in the cuckoo house, or she just sounds like someone who don't want to let go. And there's a reason why he's with you and not with her, and it's apparent. And I don't even know the whole story. So go ahead and keep on keeping on. There's nothing that he can do other than what he's doing to try to, keep her at bay. But at the end of the day, go ahead and get yourself a restraining order. So Miss Shauna not gonna have it. That's cute. I'm gonna use that, right? You go ahead and don't have it. Go ahead and get yourself a restraining order from this lady. All right, let's hear from Mr. Too Good. All right, Mr. Too Good. Hey, Mama Sheila. Again, I can't read my own writing. I should have just printed this out. So, hey, Mama Sheila. I am engaged to a young lady who is bisexual. Ooh, do tell. Okay. In the beginning of our relationship, I was okay. with her inviting girls, other girls. Now it's to a point to where we're older, we're talking about having children, and it's time to settle that down. And she's telling me it's something that she thinks she'll never change. I'm not comfortable with it at this point. It was good when we were young and just having fun. But now that we're older, it's time to settle down and do things the right way. Okay, you are absolutely correct. But you've let this go on, you know, before, what am I trying to say? So, in the beginning, when she told you she was bisexual and that she wanted to have other women, you know, it was probably good to you because it was young. That's every young man's dream, blah, 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 blah. But did you discuss future? Did you discuss the future? Did you say, hey, at some point when it's time for us to get married and have kids, we have to cut this out? Or did you let her think this was going to be a forever thing? Um, I know a few people who are swingers and polyamorous, and what makes it work for them is the honesty and the open lines of communication. And I'm not quite sure how old you guys are, and I'm not quite sure how long you guys been together, so how long you've been doing this. But that was a conversation that should have been had in the beginning. Like, okay, but please know that when it's time for us to settle down and have kids, this has to stop. And it doesn't sound like that happened. One or two things: you have to either A, this lifestyle, or B, say, look, you know, I'm ready to settle down and have children. And I don't want this type of, you know, lifestyle around my kids. So I don't know. It's a conversation that's going to have to be had, in a serious one, not an argument, not something, not in a manner to where it sounds like you're making an ultimatum, but unfortunately it's going to have to be an ultimatum. And I am so against ultimatums. Ultimatums have broken up a lot of relationships that should not have been broken up, or people who should not be together. But this is serious because you have children and you want your children raised a certain kind of way. Listen, like I said, I have friends that are swingers, I have friends that are polyamorous, I have friends who have open relationships, and they all chose to either wait till their children were adults or not to have kids at all, because it's confusing for kids. And I'm not knocking the lifestyle, because whatever you do in your life is what you do. I'm one for be you and be the best you at it. But for children, that can be confusing. And plus, those are decisions that you want your kids to make, not because they see you do it, but because it's something that they're interested in, you know. Um, so you just gonna have to have a conversation with her. You are just going to have to have a conversation with her, and you're gonna have to lay it on the line, you know. And unless somebody is being seriously abused, I'll never tell a person to walk away from their relationship. And good luck with that. Good luck with that. So, let this be for anyone who's thinking about getting into that lifestyle. If you're young, if you You have to make sure you have that conversation first. Have that conversation to figure out if, you know, this is something you're going to do forever. If this is this something that you're going to do because, just something to do. And what happens when we have children, or what happens when we want to get serious and get married? You know what I'm saying? And if you're married already, you might want to discuss, is this the right time? Are our children at the right age? Or if you're married and you don't have children, you want to think about, the ramifications of if your kids find out, you know. I'm gonna do one more and then I'm going to go because I'm hungry. I had another one in here about kids. Kids. There we go. So, we just talked about someone to change up their lifestyle. We just discussed an email or a letter from someone who wanted to change their lifestyle because they're ready to get married and have kids. Here's someone who has kids. Their wife wants more, but he does not. This is saying, "Hi, Sheila. I am 37 years old, married, and we have 2 kids. My wife wants to have a total of 4 kids because she says 4 kids are the lucky number in her is the lucky number in her family." I wrote that wrong, sorry. "I don't want any more kids. 2 are enough, and we can accomplish the things we want to accomplish with these 2 kids. They're at a good age, and it's time for us to move forward and build. It's easier to pay for college for 2 kids, and college is an absolute must for my children. Um, the cost of living will kind of make it different if we had more kids. I've told her that I didn't want any more kids, and every time we discuss it, it's an argument. Oh boy. So my question to you is that, again, conversations have to be made, have to be had. Uh, did you guys discuss before you got married how many kids you wanted to have? Um, and if you did, what was it? Was it 2? Was it 4? If you guys have 2 kids and she just wants more kids, there's no lucky number in kids. Um, 1 kid is lucky. 2 kids are lucky. 3 kids are lucky. And it's not even luck, they're blessings. You're not lucky or unlucky to have kids. Kids are blessings. And kids are, if you feel financially that 2 kids are enough and that you want to give your kids a certain lifestyle, um, I suggest that you find a way other than an argument to discuss that with her. Um, my my mom has 5 kids. I have 2. One of my sons have 5 kids. The other one have 3. There's no luck in any of that. That's blessing. It's blessing. It's a coincidence that my mother and my son had the same amount of kids, and everybody's loved and blessed. You know, um, that is something that I am going to say that you guys probably need to seek counsel for. Go to your preacher. If you are not religious, then go to an elder in your family, or you might want to do both. You know, that's something, it seems like you're at a standstill and she's at a standstill. You want to just leave it at two and she wants to grow the family. And I'm kind of feeling you though. Two kids are enough, and especially if you want to guarantee that both kids go to college, or if you want to maintain your lifestyle, you know, you know. So that's something you're gonna actually have to go to a counseling for. All right. Well, guys, it has been wonderful. I'm hungry. I am going to go. I appreciate you guys stopping in. Um, Say a prayer for my little brother and my little sister that they feel better because they're both under the weather. And good night.